All right. All right. Should be no problemo. Just in case. Here we go. Let's go. Folks, Cranston PD Live tonight. This is Jane Rice. Hope Buddy's feeling better. Keep it a good thought. Folks, share that you are watching. It is Juan. Let's go with the February live stream. Who else do I? There's Gina Parker. There's David Sammartino checking in. Team Juan. Folks, tonight, Cranston PD Live. Tonight at 7. Last night I was over there. I missed. They were looking for a fugitive. Canines, drone, whole thing. See what happens tonight. Tonight at 7, Cranston PD Live. We are live in 1 minute. Hi there, Gracie. It's Gracie Perry. Hi, Bree. There's Mary. Hello, one and all. There's Jared. Hi there, Caroline. Hola, everybody on the sunny. How great is this weather? All right, folks, we're live on the radio in un momento. 1 minute. 1 minute. How about Nikki? I'm going to talk on Nikki Haley in just a moment. Wow. Big time. That's a big time announcement. Listening from Rye. I lived in Rye for a very brief period of time, Stephen. I lived right on Oakland Beach Avenue. Rye's a beautiful part. Well, folks, good afternoon. Right now it is 12:06. My first home was in Rye. First home that I bought was in Rye, New York. So we have one of our followers is watching. Right down from, well, Rye Playland is right there. A lot of the Rangers used to live around there. I think it's the Miltons. Milton Point is right there. It's beautiful. Right down by the beach area and so forth. Folks, yeah, fond memories. The first home that I ever purchased was, in fact, in Rye. um, and it's tough when then you look at what it's valued at. Now, I should have held on to that home. It actually, because I do check up on it, it's tripled in value from what we had purchased it, which was not cheap at the time. Folks, at 12:07 the one this Wednesday, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. It's AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. I want to welcome everybody tuning in on Facebook. This is the Noon Report. Share that you are watching. Folks, tonight, Cranston PD live at 7. 7 o'clock tonight, we are out with Cranston Police. You know, last night, I want to just, I did go to Cranston last night, but we did not have the opportunity to go live. They were searching for a fugitive with the aid of the state police. They had the canines out. I believe Zeus. They had the a drone going, but somehow he eluded them for now. For now. But I was there. We were just about to go live, but they had just wrapped up the search. Who knows what's going to happen tonight? If that had been last night, we would have been right there in the search for the fugitive. So Cranston PD Live right on this Facebook page tonight. If you've missed any of the other episodes, we do have them on YouTube, on my channel, John DePetro Show on YouTube. And then the website has them all, depetro.com. Folks, this portion of the program on what is, again, another delightful Wednesday. I was just checking at 12:08 in the Ocean State. I was just checking the temperature. I mean, it is just fantastic. It's again above 50 degrees. It's going to go to the mid-50s. By the way, we're doing Cranston PD Live tonight simply because then we're going to have rain tomorrow and Friday, and it's not easy to operate. The weather certainly has impact, but looking ahead, I mean, granted, you know, next Friday, whatever date that is, as a matter of fact, it looks like it's going to start to drop down again. But Next Friday is the 24th, so we're almost into March here. But this portion of the program, folks, is brought to you by Propane Plus. Remember, for all your propane needs, call Propane Plus today. Propane Plus, heating and cooling in Rhode Island. Call them at 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus, heating and cooling. Remember, 3 generations. They're available 24/7 for service and delivery. You can count on Propane Plus. Remember, they also have a very user-friendly website. It's propaneplus.com. And again, you just put in your zip code, residential, commercial, Propane Plus, and the service is tremendous. These are the type of people you want to do business with. It's Propane Plus. Again, in Rhode Island, call them 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359. You can depend on Propane Plus. Well, folks, check out the website, DePetro.com. Now, remember, we have a lot there. I actually put out some videos over the weekend. How, number one, you can listen to the show online. And number two, I did like a walking tour of the website. And they're both posted. But DePetro.com has all our links to social media. You can listen to the radio show that way if you ever missed the radio show. Our numbers are way up, by the way, on people that are listening after the fact. And contact me, and then all of our unique stories. We have the video with the on-the-scene live stream and Juan After Dark. It's a happening at DePetro.com, which is brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Whether it's lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge. I had dinner there just the other night. A great meal is waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. Now, I want to mention something very significant is happening right now, and it can't be ignored. And remember, what I like to do many times, you have all these people that are in the media, and they're all kind of just repeating a lot of the same thing. But what, with my experience, and I have certainly covered things that other people have not, many of you that watch the live streaming, which, as I predicted, live streaming now, people are streaming, watching much more on their phones, streaming. It's going to surpass television this year. But, and so, whether it is covering various things or going to crime, I personally, there's very limited people that I will listen to or watch that don't deal with firsthand accounts or people that are right there on the scene and giving you accurate information. But something that can't be ignored is right now, something very significant is happening. And as I am looking, that Nikki Haley, former governor of South Carolina, former ambassador, she's in Charleston, South Carolina right now, which I've been to. So not only is her announcement being carried live on Fox, and they're preempting the regular show they normally carry, which is Outnumbered. So not only right now, and I normally don't mention television stuff when I'm on the radio, but not only is she, and this is significant though, and this is, no one else is going to mention this to you. So no matter where it is, there's a lot of frauds nationally, and there's a lot of frauds locally. But she is live on Fox, but she's also live on CNN right now. CNN is carrying the Nikki Haley rally, her kickoff announcement, and it's a packed arena. Nikki Haley launches presidential bid in Charleston, South Carolina. Nikki Haley, her kickoff rally is also being carried right now on MSNBC. Now, what does that mean? What is the significance of that? Well, she is being carried live right now on all of cable news. No matter where you put, she's being carried. Now, I don't know about News Nation. I guess I could try to skim down. Maybe I will. She's got the hat trick going. And I'll tell you why that is significant. Now, you know what? She's live right now on News Nation. Okay. So she's got 4. She has 4. Now, I'll tell you why that is Very significant. It's 12:13. Folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. And I talk about this with Donna Perry, who we had on yesterday. We have her on once a week. But where that is significant is who was the last person who was doing a kickoff rally that was covered in its entirety live on all three. That was the Trump campaign in 2016. That is not to be ignored. I recognize right now that there are people that are listening and or watching, and you never flip to CNN. You never flip to MSNBC. You never flip to... I'm willing to bet, I guess I could pull it up, unless I deleted their app. I'm willing to bet she's also live. I bet she's live on Newsmax. So, who's losing their battle against DirecTV? But anyhow, my point is, in 2016, I believe one of the things that got President Trump over the hump. Now, I'm sure she's also on America One, but one of the things that it's a huge dynamic that can't be ignored. We must deal in reality. Is one of the, I think a key element of 2016 was when President Trump would take the stage and do these rallies during the course of 2016. They would be carried live on CNN, MSNBC, then of course Fox. Then you had whatever the hell it is, America One or One America, ONE, whatever. I don't really watch that. And then now, Newsmax was still kind of, well, actually they weren't fully, Newsmax wasn't the way they are now. But just to remind people, and I want to finish the point, that I believe that made a huge difference. It brought him to audiences who normally would not. Now, again, if you are a loyal Fox viewer, and there are some people that don't even watch Fox because they don't think it's conservative enough for them, for whatever reason, or they'll watch One America, they'll watch Newsmax. But but you're not who they're playing to. You're not who they're playing to. Many times when I see something and it's very popular and it doesn't make a great impression on me, I don't knock it. My impression always is then just, well, I'm not in the demo. I can't be who they're trying to appeal to. I don't just say something's terrible. I just then come to the realization that if something is out there and it's incredibly successful and wildly popular, and then I listen or watch it, and I think that's, certainly not, I just view it as it's not geared for me. And there's various instances like that. All those Real Housewives show. I mean, I can't watch that stuff. But somebody's watching it. People watch it, like it, blah, blah, blah. There's a number of different things like that. But in this particular situation, you can't underestimate that all the big three, I'm going to throw in News Nation, Newsmax, One America, America One, whatever the hell it is, all kind of in the same boat. I think it's One America, but they're all carrying it. The big three are carrying it. Now, again, I fully get there are many people saying, I never watch CNN. Well, CNN has fallen down, but CNN is there's still an audience there. MSNBC. I will flip around. Granted, sometimes because of the smugness, I know people talk about the bias. I think it's more the smugness that turns me off. But my point is that there's no way they're not carrying Trump rallies anymore. So now Fox, I'm sure President Trump isn't happy that they're carrying her entire rally. She could end up, I don't know. Well, let's see how she does on the trail. She is making, from what I have heard, and I'm on their mailing list, so I played her video yesterday. Nikki Haley seems to be playing, some of her cards are youth, time for a younger generation, and also definitely gender, right? She is saying, Nikki Haley, Ambassador Haley, former governor of South Carolina, is saying, she would like to be the first female president. She's also saying things you used to hear from Raimondo. in her video, and I heard an interview she was doing where she was saying, so little girls can see that they could be president someday. So I don't know if that's going to be enough to, get her to the next tier. But it's definitely a lane. It's definitely a lane. And she is drawing attention to something that I think that a lot of people underestimate is right now we're at February 15th of 2023. But I don't know. President Biden and President Trump are both two older white men. And I am curious to see how President Trump is going to fare on a stage with the much more youthful Nikki Haley and then the very youthful governor of Florida, DeSantis, who is going to be on that stage. He is. You have to go when your window is there. The DeSantis people feel the window is there. So the President Trump in the debates they now saying will be this summer. This summer. Now, if you remember, the summer of 2019 was all those Democrat debates, right? Biden on stage, Kamala Harris, the whole thing. And then Mike Bloomberg entered way late. Too late, actually. But so that's what I'm curious to see. Because President Trump is going to just be that much older this summer. Again, I'm not saying one foot in the grave. I'm not. But I just wonder how much the youthful dynamic is going to start to come into play. So when you see President Trump, who will be the oldest Republican, I believe, on the stage. By the way, Bernie Sanders may make another run. He's older than President Biden. He seems to have his wits about him a little bit more, but he's not. I just don't know if in the next election now, 24, if people are going to start to say, gee, is this really the job for an 80-year-old person? I don't know. It's demanding of any age. But I'm curious, I should say, not anxious, but curious to see how President Trump will fare on a stage with people who are, and especially Nikki Haley is making the age argument. It's time for a new generation. Voters may have a totally different feel to it. I think where President Trump needs to be careful is, and I kind of mentioned this yesterday, but I'm really put off by this name calling. I know it worked for him first time around, right? Little Marco, Lying Ted, Low Energy Jeb, Bush, and then Crooked Hillary. But President Trump at 1222, he better really be careful this time around with some of the nicknames. And I mentioned yesterday Mark Levin, and Mark Levin was saying, boy, I hope this really isn't the case that President Trump, because Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is Italian, he's starting to call him Meatball Ron. Number one, I don't like the nicknames for his opponents, especially someone that hasn't even announced that he's running for president. I know the Trump diehards, no matter what he says or does, one of the most accurate things that President Trump ever said was that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and the people would still vote for him. But I am telling you, there's one thing of the sanctimonious, Ron Sanctimonious, DeSantis, blah, blah, blah. But when he starts to get into, the Italian slurs, right? So he's calling him Meatball Ron. Why? Because DeSantis has an Italian and DeSantis' mother from Italy. And that's where, now again, there are people listening, makes no difference at all. Doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. I've had people, I wish I could vote. I would mail in my vote for Trump right now. I'm telling you right now that that's, I don't know what to make of that. I mean, we'll see if he tosses that out at a rally. He's apparently saying it openly to a lot of the people in his company at Mar-a-Lago, enough that it's getting back to DeSantis. Meatball Ron? Huh. What's to follow? Is President Trump going to start to do Italian jokes at the rally? Is that where we're going with this? Wow. Okay. I don't know who's in his ear. I don't know exactly who's advising him these days. But these attacks on DeSantis, and now he's going to start to. I mean, is this happening? He's going to start to knock him, Governor DeSantis, for being Italian. Now, this I don't speak for everybody. That's a deal breaker for me. I'm not. I'm not voting for someone that's going to start mocking DeSantis because he's Italian, and for obvious reasons, with the vowel in the end of my name, with DePetro. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know who thinks that's funny. I don't know who's laughing it up as he says that. Meatball Ron. Huh. Well, if that is the case, I'm very anxious to see the president toss that out at a rally and see how the crowd reacts. And again, maybe he's just doing trial balloons. Maybe he's just saying it to some of the members at Mar-a-Lago and wants to see how they react. But I think it's a lead balloon. Now, I want to talk about the Scituate police because, but just to finish the point, you can't ignore, the Nikki Haley element. Nikki Haley also keeps saying we haven't won a general election in 20 years. A Republican has not won the popular vote now, since President Bush and Gore. He hasn't won the popular vote in a very, very, very long, in over 20 years. And that needs to change. That needs to change. Obviously, Obama won it, and then he beat Romney. And then, you can go into the whole thing. I know 2020 is questionable. But I just question some of the people that are kind of along for the ride. It's all about winning. I think people are going to have to decide, is this really an election that 24 that would people really be content to watch Biden and Harris get another 4 years? I mean, I would not. So again, just to finish the point, my voting for 24 is going to be based on who could successfully take back the White House, because there are people that could do it, but that is a big part of it. I don't think you get there by throwing around. What's next? Are you going to start calling him a guinea or a wop or the other Italian slurs? Is that where we're going? Wow. I want to see how that's going to play. I want to see how that's going to play in Johnston. Johnston is overwhelmingly, just locally, overwhelmingly supported President Trump. I don't know if Johnston, Rhode Island, is going to vote for a candidate that's throwing around Italian slurs. So now, I want to be really clear. I fully predict, that's the lying media, blah, blah, blah. Then, according to many of the members at Mar-a-Lago, they're the ones hearing it. So maybe they were all lying. We'll go with the full conspiracy. Folks, this portion of the program, and I really want to talk, if you haven't heard the story about the Scituate police, I posted it yesterday on Facebook. Because of my posting now, other media outlets are picking it up. But it's another reminder of what our law enforcement go through. But this portion of the program, Ameriprise Financial Advisor, our guy, Tom Bryan, take advantage of a free consultation today. Call 401-434-1510. 401-434-1510. Office is located 400 Massasoit Avenue in East Providence. Ameriprise Financial, especially right now on this Wednesday afternoon, February 15th. Something that is worthy of the phone call to make sure is that you have long-term care coverage for yourself, for your spouse, maybe for your parents, your grandparents. Find out. Tom Bryan, Ameriprise Financial, 401-434-1510. Office is located 400 Massasoit Avenue in East Providence. Ameriprise Financial, 401-434-1510. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Remember, you can always listen online at the website, DePetro.com, which is sponsored by Ryan's Appliance Repair. Remember what we say, when your appliance is dying, just call Ryan. 401-710-7096, 401-710-7096, Ryan's Appliance Repair. They can fix any appliance you have: washing machine, dryer, refrigerator, stove, oven, dishwasher, Ryan's Appliance Repair. 401 710 7096. This story out of Scituate, to me, illustrates why there needs to be continued support for law enforcement. It is frightening. More and more you're hearing some of the effects of some of and I have talked about this, the Providence residents starting to go to some of our outlying communities to commit crime, look for crime, home invasions, carjackings. This story out of Scituate, to me, is a good example. Those of you who watch Cranston PD Live, and I have talked about this, one of the elements of police is that at any moment, unlike other occupations, policing is very different than other occupations. Number one, because of a police officer, where it's different than other occupations, is if a police officer in Little Rock, Arkansas, or Memphis, or Minneapolis, or wherever, if they do something wrong, there can be repercussions all across the fruited plain. All of a sudden, as we all saw the summer of 2020, right? All the riots, all of that because of an insensitive police officer in Minneapolis, and look where that led. So now policing have had more challenges. I was speaking to someone that was recently, I won't say who, but they were in Burlington, Vermont. And I didn't realize this, but believe it or not, Burlington, Vermont actually went along with the whole thing of the defund the police back in the summer of 2020, right? So Burlington, Vermont, it's pretty earthy, crunchy up there. Think of Vermont, home of Bernie Sanders. And so now Burlington, Vermont, which should be a beautiful town, and it's a college town, and a nice quality of life, they are inundated with the amount of crime that has gone up. They are inundated with drug dealing. They're inundated with homeless. It's a major problem. Crime is suddenly a big factor in Burlington, Vermont. Now, because of their decision, they actually said, yeah, what do we have all these police for? Then you also have what happened in Memphis. But with Memphis has had a terrible time trying to recruit police officers. The more and more, every time there's a march, every time there's all these fake allegations against police, and with no repercussions. We saw it here the summer of 2021 when in Providence, when the local media went after the Providence police on all these false accusations. White supremacists were trying to burn down. Remember the house, that woman, Taffy like the candy, and all these accusations, and going after them. And the fact that a lot of the allegations proved to be wrong, it didn't matter. The damage had been done. And then you have the situation that happened Monday in Scituate. So it's a Monday afternoon. It's getting lighter out, more light, which is nice this time of year. And right around 5:30, Scituate police get a call that there's a male right near Tunkhill Road who's trying to stop and flag down motorists. Now, I've since heard that this 21-year-old Providence resident was also attempting to try to go to some of the houses around there, but people just weren't answering the door. So Donald Rodriguez, the Scituate police officer, comes up and, hey, what's going on? Are you in need of trouble, or what's happening? Why are you trying to stop these different cars that are riding by? And the Scituate police officer, Patrolman Pilati, notices that he's got a black rifle bag strapped to his back, which is strapped under a camouflage jacket. Huh, okay. Now keep in mind, this is just this past Monday night. Can I see a form of identification? So now the guy's trying to leave. patrolman's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where are you going? What's happening here? So as he's trying to get away, won't give an ID, won't say who he is, being non-compliant, police are, calling for backup. We have a little bit of a situation here. What do you got? What do you got there? Out on the road trying to stop the motorist. You don't. He's not saying he has car trouble. He's not saying he lives in the area. He's not. Who knows what he's doing? Then they find he's carrying two unloaded long guns, Kel-Tec 2000 carbine and a High Point model 995 carbine, both in 9mm. Then he has 4 high-capacity magazines, ranging in size from 15 to 30 rounds, found to have been loaded. Magazines contain 70 rounds of 9mm ammunition. He was also in possession of a homemade silencer. Now that's actually against the law. Fashion of the muzzle of the Kel-Tec carbine. Why did he want a homemade silencer on the Kel-Tec carbine that has the capacity for 30 rounds, built to suppress the sound of gunshots? What else does he find on this 21-year-old Providence resident, Donald Rodriguez? Homemade shank-style knife, cobbled together from a 3.5-inch blade, which I think is above what is the legal size of something like that, and the handle of a pair of scissors, as well as a Halloween scream mask, which is what they wear when they, I think in the scene in the town when they go into the bank, they're wearing those, and a pair of gloves that are designed to resemble skeletal hands. What exactly? Now, that police officer, where was this leading? Why was he trying to stop a motorist? Why did he have all this ammo and gear? Where's he going with it? Why do you have a silencer? Why does he have the scream mask and the gloves to resemble skeletal hands? Why does he have the homemade shank? Was this going to be a home invasion? Was this going to be a carjacking? Why all the ammo? Where are you going with this? Why are you taking all this stuff to the range? These are the type of stories that BLM, and immediately, by the way, some members of BLM are, they just stopped him because Rodriguez, and he was from Providence. Well, they stopped him because he was trying to flag down and stop motorists on Tunkhill Road in Scituate. The larger question is, what was his intent? Where was he going with that? Now, I don't know all the particulars as far as where did he say he was coming? How did he get where he was? How did he get there? Was he with someone and they got separated? Was he with someone he got dropped off? I guess it's possible he walked all that way. Where had he been? I think the questions I have is how did he arrive right there? Where was he an hour before? Where was he 2 hours before? Where was his destination? Why was he trying to flag down a motorist? How did he get there? Who is he with? Did he get separated from someone? This has all the makings of someone that was going to do a home invasion. And somehow, maybe got separated from whoever he was with, or whatever it was. But my point is, look at the different ways that Scituate police Monday afternoon, all of a sudden, hey, there's a guy trying to stop cars. And then look what it turns into. So now, again, I believe he's being held at still being held at the ACI. That is not an area that I would not consider that high crime area by any stretch. Tunkhill Road, by the way, that's I don't know where the destination was. Were they going to go and do something in Coventry? Is there? I mean, it is kind of woodsy around there, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Um, Tunk Hill Road near the Kent Dam. I don't know what this individual were they going to try to go into Cranston. I have contacted the Situate police. I'd certainly like to get more information. And the biggest thing is, who is this individual? Where were they go? How did that person end up there? Now, that is someone who may not answer anything to police, but that is something you want to talk about. Heads up police work. That is not someone out for a stroll. That is not someone. Yeah, I'm just heading to the range. Now we don't know whether or not um, someone was asking, did he have licenses for the weapons? I don't know that. Try to find that out. I didn't. I don't see the charges were not that he was carrying unlawful, that he didn't have the right to carry those things, is my point. So it's possible. I haven't heard anything like that. I think the silencers, the homemade silencers, are certainly concerning, to say the least. I think the what really seemingly is getting a lot of attention is the scream mask, right? Like, what's that all about? Why all the firepower? Where is someone? Where is someone going with something like that? What is the objective? I did see caught walking around with two long guns in Situate. Suspicious man near the Kent Dam trying to flag down drivers. Camouflage jacket, black rifle bag. 21-year-old Donald Rodriguez of Providence taken into custody following a short scuffle. Oh, he's willing to fight with police. Searched the bag, two long guns, four loaded high-capacity magazines, 70 rounds of ammunition, and a homemade silencer. He's charged with 4 counts of possessing large-capacity feeding devices, possessing a silencer, prohibited weapon, the shank, and resisting arrest. Being held at the ACI pending a competency hearing. This is one of those stories that I believe police broke up. That was, to put it mildly, someone that was up to no good. I think those were all fair questions. I think now I don't know enough. Those are all legitimate questions. Did he have a license to have those weapons? Where is someone? I think more of, how did they get there? Where was he an hour before, 2 hours before, and then where was he going? I'm not going to speculate. We don't know. And it's very possible he's not cooperating with law enforcement. So they don't know how he got there or where the ultimate destination was going to be. But folks, it is not your imagination that a lot of the crime, the Providence Pawtucket crime, is starting to spill out into the suburbs. And someone with that, now he was alone. Was he initially with another individual, 2 more individuals? That would be pretty terrifying, that type of individual is then involved with some kind of like a home invasion. It's but whether it's people that need to have the Ring doorbell, or picture that time of day, someone coming home from work, leisurely walking into their home, and then someone coming up from behind them. So great job by the Scituate police, but I believe that it certainly warrants like more answers as to how that individual arrived where they are. Folks, this portion of the program on this, again, the mild weather is terrific, is brought to you by Limitless Outdoors. Call them today, free quote, 401 580 1852. 401 580 1852. Call Chris today, get a free quote. Limitless Outdoors. Their slogan is dream, build, enjoy. And what do I mean by that? Well, picture today. I mean, the weather, I think we're kind of over the hump a little bit over the next couple of weeks. Spring is almost 4 weeks away. Even if you start to get snow, it melts pretty quickly. Late February, I don't have to explain to you the weather patterns, but my point is pretty soon you're going to say, it'd be nice to be sitting outside with a nice patio, or maybe an outdoor kitchen, or walkways or steps. More people are deciding to have a nice outside type of room as opposed to doing the big, you're adding an addition into your home. I had a friend of mine who, as I've said this, he ran into the biggest problems with his zoning board, and he couldn't find a contractor that was going to do the type of addition he wanted. He said, forget it. I just want a 6 to 9 months space outside that he can, spend more time and be outside and enjoy the outdoors. Folks, limitless outdoors. You know why? Because it's limitless what they can do for you. Call today. Remember, dream, build, enjoy. Patios, walkways, steps, outdoor kitchens, landscape lighting, retaining walls, lawn installations, excavation. They can update your indoor fireplace or kitchen. Call Chris, free quote, 401 580 1852, and online at limitlessoutdoorsri.com. Well, folks, good afternoon. At 12:45, you're listening to the John DePetro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. I'm seeing some schools across Massachusetts were locked down Monday and Tuesday due to bomb and after shooter threats. Something's got to be done about that. I don't know. Something needs to be done with these nuisance types of calls that seemingly piggyback after you have a situation like you had in Michigan. The element about the situation about with what happened in Scituate is also kind of frightening to me based on with what happened with Michigan State the other night. I mean, I think that's also kind of frightening how that played out. Now, closer to home, I don't understand the debate about arming. I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on it. Arming security guards on the college campuses. Locally, last Wednesday night, I went to the forum in Providence where they had the 3 finalists for who's going to be the next chief of police in Providence. And outside there were protesters. And during the course of the forum, they didn't shut it down, but at different times, there were people that were there that were vocal that they in no way like the idea of police anywhere near a school. And they like to do the whole chant of counselors, not cops. And, every time one of the candidates would mention about trying to build a better rapport, whether it's recruiting, more recruiting students to become police officers, young men and women, and or whether it was just trying to build up more of a rapport. You have these individuals that continue this mantra of counselors, not cops, and keep the police out of the school and blah blah blah. And I don't understand. Like they're so selfish, but the people that object to that, they do it without repercussion. They're nowhere to be found when there's a school shooting. There's nowhere to be found when there was a principal that was attacked and stabbed in Providence. They're nowhere to be found on that. The activist media and many of the activists themselves, all they want to do is make noise. All they want to do. There's no element of accountability when it comes to why that would be a bad idea. Now, I also want to touch on. I'm anxious to hear from Cumberland Police who was this other driver. I'm waiting to see when they're going to release the name of the other driver of this fatal crash in Cumberland. So I have not, if someone knows of that, I would be, I'd like to hear about it. I have not heard, let me just check, see if I can get the latest now, because all right, we know 25-year-old Sarah Labassaniere of Cumberland. Police say one of the drivers was involved in a hit and run earlier, and it was not her. The second person has yet to been identified, pending results from the Rhode Island Medical Examiner Office. So I haven't seen anyone identify the second. Now, I admittedly, I'm holding off because I find this is another example that whether it is police departments, or it's government officials, for whatever reason, whenever people withhold information from the public, it it gives room to the fact that conspiracies can then, take off. So, but whenever there's a situation like that, I blame. For instance, there are people right now that are saying they are hearing that the person that was driving the other car in that crash was an illegal. Now, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. It's possible. Um, I don't know if in fact that is what's going on. We do know there's still a lot of speculation regarding with what happened in Coventry with the Carbuncle Pond, where the Rhode Island State Police refused to release any information about that. So, as a result of that, people start to speculate, and then conspiracies start to come in. And now the same thing with that crash in Cumberland, where I don't know who the second driver was. I admit it does seem odd that they're withholding who was the driver that they believe was involved in a hit and run. So who was the driver of the crash? They're waiting for the medical examiner. Didn't the person have a license on them? Didn't they have an ID on them? We know that it took the life. It sounds like it was some kind of a head-on crash. Who was driving the other vehicle? Why are they not releasing who it was? So I would tell you now, if there's someone that has information on that, you can certainly contact me. Go to the website DePetro.com. I can't say that it's not some of the speculation because no one's talking. At least officially, they haven't. I agree. It doesn't make sense. Now, I know the car was damaged. Both were badly. But how is it? I agree with some of you that it doesn't make sense. So we know the driver, one of the drivers in the crash. Who was the other driver? So I am hearing from people saying the reason that they don't want to reveal who it was it was because it was an illegal and they're trying to hide that. I do not know that to be the case. But at the same time, I can't say that that's not who it was because the authorities haven't said anything. I agree. It is odd. It's very strange that you have a fatal accident. They release who one of the occupants was of the vehicle, who was not, who seemingly, this other car ran right into her. So I agree. It does sound terrible, and I I see the various friends of Sarah posting online. It's just how horrible it is. The police are saying they think it stemmed from a hit and run. So this Cumberland crash, they're still working to identify the second person. Well, who's the car registered to? What's the identification? Do you mean is there someone in the car that had no form of identification, not even a credit card. There was a hit and run crash near the intersection of West Rentham Road. The fleeing suspect vehicle was then involved in the fatal crash. So whoever that was, seemingly involved in a hit and run near the intersection, and then takes off and then slams into this poor 25-year-old girl. But I'm telling you, for the life of me, and I will reach out once again. I know the chief of police in Cumberland. I dealt with him, Cumberland Police Chief Matthew Benson. I'm not trying to knock him in any way. I know it was difficult. I dealt with him during the course of the double homicide, murder-suicide, last June in Cumberland. But I am surprised that law enforcement and other government officials don't get the fact that when you don't say anything, it does start to seem kind of odd. So, and I feel terrible for the friends of Sarah, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, Labansinier, was an avid fitness trainer, instructor, competitor. I think she worked at Body Rock. We have mutual friends. It sounds as if that this other vehicle came screaming along at a high rate of speed and just slammed right into her. So it sounds absolutely terrible. But we're waiting on the medical examiner? Like what exactly is happening here? I don't understand the delay. And much like, as I've said, I'm not gonna, we're at almost the 2-month mark where the Rhode Island State Police pulled the body of a female out of a pond in Coventry, and Carbuncle Pond, and they still haven't said. I don't get it. I don't get it. Other than it was a homicide, so someone took the life of her. Folks, this portion of the John DePetro Show on this Wednesday, it's brought to you by Matthews Oil Company. Call them today, 24 emergency service. Fill up your tank, keep you warm. The rest of, hey, listen, it stays cold until May. 401-942-7500. On top of that, Matthews Energy Company can help you save money on electricity, what have you. 401-942-7500. Matthews Oil, premier dealer in Rhode Island, highest quality heating fuels. And on top of that, they also have various payment plans. If you're on a budget, they have various payment plans available. Call Matthews Oil Company today, 401-942-7500, 401-942-7500 for Matthews Oil Company. Well, folks, at 9:57, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Now, I just want to touch on this Cumberland situation. I will reach out to the chief. I believe I have a rapport with him. Maybe he can't tell me exactly what's going on, but look at how, by the silence, you have people saying that the reason why that they're not releasing is, in fact, because they, Governor McKee and lives in Cumberland, so therefore he told the police chief not to say anything because it's an illegal. I don't know if that is the case. I have no evidence to support that. Again, I'm not. If you do have inside information, if you were at the crash or know someone, if there are people that say I know who it was, they're not saying they're pending next of kin. They're not saying that. They're not saying, I fully get why sometimes they don't make the name public is because law enforcement wants to notify the family first, so the family doesn't find out from the media. But many times they say the name is withholding pending notification of next of kin. You don't have that here. You don't have that here. Instead, you just have the victim, one of the victims in the Cumberland crash identified. Seemingly, it was not the individual that caused the crash. So I think it is a legitimate question, right? Like, what is taking so long that this happened? And then suddenly there's still no answer. Now, folks, at 12:59, next hour, I am going to get into the latest with these UFOs. You're listening to the John DePetro Show, and also the situation in Ohio is very, very serious. Next hour, remember, is radio only. Facebook Live tonight. Cranston PD Live tonight starting at 7. We'll be live right there, riding along in real time with Cranston Police. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to break for the 1 o'clock news, the big news today nationally. Nikki Haley has jumped in to the race for president, Republican nomination 2024. It's John DePetro on this Wednesday. We're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. Next hour is radio only. It's AM 1380, 99.9 FM. We're back on the other side.